welcome to Exiles TV. I'm Built for Freedom. Kevin Gallagher, still recuperating at home. He has completed all of his cancer treatment, and we hope to see him back here very, very soon. Again, he wants me to send his thanks for all the well wishes he has gotten since this started a couple of months ago, and he should be as good as new pretty soon from what we hear. We start our program today on a very sad note. The U.S. Army has lost a soldier, and Baton Rouge Police Department has lost an officer. Corporal Casey Hart had been a member of the Baton Rouge Police Department for 14 years. He was also in the United States Army, and he was serving a deployment overseas. He was running and unfortunately had a cardiac arrest. He was transferred to a hospital in Germany and then to Walter Reed in Maryland, and he passed away on Tuesday. Corporal Hart, he was a staff sergeant in the Army, in the BRPD he was a corporal, leaves behind a wife and a young daughter. A GoFundMe page has been set up for his surviving family, has surpassed $20,000 at this point. The Police Officers' Wives Association released this. It is with great sadness that I must report we lost a hero. Corporal Casey Hart, who was active duty military and a Baton Rouge police officer, passed away at Walter Reed Medical Center Tuesday. He leaves behind a wife and a daughter. He was loved by so many, especially those who served beside him. We are asking for prayers for his family as they make their journey back home to Louisiana. Chief Paul said the men and women of the Baton Rouge Police Department are deeply saddened to learn of the passing of Corporal Casey Hart. Corporal Hart is a 14-year veteran of the police department and was assigned to uniform patrol in the 3rd District. As a dedicated member of the United States Army National Guard, he not only served our community, but he served our country honorably for many years. We extend our deepest sympathy to Corporal Hart's friends and family, especially his wife Carrie, his daughter, and all those he touched through his life and service. As you might imagine, there are more statements from colleagues from the mayor's office, and this is one of those that you don't ever see it coming. He was a very experienced soldier. He had been in the Army National Guard for a number of years.
This is the general mailbox.
Hello, the phone is just ringing and speaking. This phone right here is speaking.
What'd you do to it?
I didn't touch it. This phone scares me badly enough anyway, because it's from like, did Alexander Graham Bell's son build this phone? I mean, it's got tape holding it together, and its little speed dial pad is like missing, and I don't get near that phone. Anyway, we digress. As far as BRPD Corporal Casey Hart, our condolences to his family. And as I said, he was deployed. He was on active duty. His unit got called up, and he was doing his daily physical fitness training. He was a runner, and unfortunately, he had a cardiac arrest while he was running. They attended to him at the scene. They put him in a hospital in Germany. They transferred him to Walter Reed. Apparently, it was a massive, massive injury to his heart. Apparently, it wasn't something that could be fixed very, very easily. So, the military has suffered the loss of a staff sergeant from Baton Rouge. Baton Rouge has suffered the loss of a BRPD officer who served with some distinction for 14 years. And like you, I hate when I see these things. But what I hate even more is when people who do what I do and Clarence does and all the others around the city, when we see it, if we somehow get too busy or forget to mention the sacrifice that this man made, both in the military and in the police department, and the sacrifice his family has made in a dangerous job locally and then being deployed overseas. And now they and we have lost him due to a heart attack while he was deployed overseas. And that sometimes through the best efforts of all the medical professionals, you just can't turn some things around. So to his family, we're thinking of you. God bless you. Thank you for sharing him with us and with the nation for all these years. And Corporal Hart, we will remember you, not just tomorrow and not just the next day, but for long as memory serves those who serve our nation and those who serve our city. Very, very sorry to hear that as we get going this morning. A brief break. We'll be back with Exiles TV in just a moment.
I owed the IRS $10,000.
The IRS garnished my wages.
They put a lien on my house.
I'm self-employed and didn't report all my income. They claim I owe a lot more than I do.
The IRS is the most powerful collection agency in the world. They do not give up until you pay.
I couldn't sleep. We were being audited. I called Tax Solutions Now, and a great big weight was lifted off my shoulders.
I called Tax Solutions Now, and they got the IRS off my back.
Tax Solutions Now had my wage garnishment lifted in 48 hours.
Tax Solutions Now can get you help. Our agents know the rules, can stop the pain, and get you the best deal.
Tax Solutions Now saved my business.
I qualified for the Fresh Start program. I paid less than I owed.
We connect you with a team of former IRS agents and tax professionals who get the IRS off your back. Time is running out. Call Tax Solutions now.
Call 800-778-4345. 800-778-4345.
Hi, I'm Bobby Yarborough with Manda Fine Meats. Here at Manda, we know what the folks of South Louisiana love. They love great flavored smoked sausage, delicious deli meats, and specialty items like boudin and andouille sausage. Manda Fine Meats has been providing these products since 1947. We produce them right here in Baton Rouge, so you know you're always getting the freshest product at your local grocery store. Manda Fine Meats. Taste the fresh local flavor in everything we make. Make it Manda every time.
No one can stop me when I taste the feeling. Nothing could ever bring me down. Nothing could ever bring me down. Taste the feeling.
Welcome back to Exiles TV. I want to remind you before I get to this next story that Crime Stoppers will have their people with us Tuesday of next week. And we're going to tell you about some miscreants and show you their pictures. And unfortunately, we have a lot of very violent people that Crime Stoppers is helping to track right now. 2 very violent people got arrested early today. Police arrested 2 more suspects tied to that triple killing at Fairway View Apartments. David Williams, who is 19 years old, and his 15-year-old brother, who was not identified, because he's a juvenile. We'll get back to that in a minute. Earlier this week, police arrested another 15-year-old suspect and 2 adults. In relation to this shooting, the 2 adults are LaToya Coleman and Christopher Stovall. Coleman, who is the mother of David Williams and his 15-year-old brother, is charged with helping them flee the jurisdiction and try to get away from capture. These are taught to be the triggermen. These 2 are thought to be the ones who started firing around the pool at Fairway View on Memorial Day. They have some surveillance video from that day, and it shows these 2 people, the ones who were most recently arrested, the 19-year-old and the 15-year-old, entering the pool area. It shows them getting into an altercation with 2 men who were seated in lounge chairs near the pool. This is when shots rang out. The 2 males were shot and killed, in addition to an 18-month-old child who was caught in the crossfire. She, of course, died at the hospital later, and I think this poor child is the reason we are focusing so much attention on this particular case. The report of the video says that the suspects can be seen fleeing west from the departments holding stolen weapons. Immediately after the shooting, according to this report, one of the 2 allegedly called a family member and explained what happened, plainly stating that he and his brother had just shot 2 people. The family member did confirm this call with authorities. That's why Mama, LaToya Coleman, was arrested, because she aided and abetted their escape. 6 people right now are facing charges. There may be more. Now, again, it's not like I don't have enough outrage from people walking into a pool in an apartment complex when people are enjoying their Memorial Day weekend and starting to open fire in a crowd. I'm outraged enough for 10 people on that. It's not that I don't have enough outrage that an innocent 18-month-old kid who had nothing to do with whatever beef these people had with each other got shot to death because of these 2 morons. What does bother me is that our system is protecting the 15-year-old trigger man. They're not going to tell us who he is. They're not going to tell us if he came out of, you know how they have business incubators? We have a crime incubator in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. It's called zip code 70805 and also zip code 70802. They're not going to tell us anything about him, not even his name. And I personally think that that is outrageous. That is an affront to decent tax-paying people in this city, in this state, that a 15-year-old can join his 19-year-old brother, pick up weapons, shoot 3 people dead, and they are protecting his identity and will continue to protect his identity. And chances are very good his 19-year-old brother, if found guilty, is probably going to get life without parole or maybe even the needle. But it's 50-50 with this 15-year-old. He may just end up getting juvenile life, which means he stays in prison until he's 21, and then he's gone. Oh, and by the way, he has no record because he's a juvenile, and we don't know who he is. I cannot tell you I cannot tell you how outraged I am at the amount of violent crime, at the amount of murderous crime that is happening right under our noses by young people, people under the age of 25, many of them under the age of 21, and more than a handful under the age of 17. And the fact that our system, for some misguided reason, wants to protect the identity of these people once they are captured is a slap in the face to everybody who now, when they walk in or out of a Walmart, has to look over their shoulders. For somebody who now, when they're out in a crowd, has to be scanning to see who's got a gun in their hand. There are things that are need to know. I get that. I don't need to know how they developed evidence or if they had confidential informants. I don't need to know that. I do need to know the name of the shooter. And I also want to know where he lays his head at night. We need to start keeping track. We need to start keeping track of the graduates of our crime incubators in this city. If he lives in 70808, okay. But I'm guessing he doesn't. And I'm guessing that people are going to get damn tired of this, basically covering for young boys who commit big boy crimes with big boy guns. I am sick of it. A brief break, and then we're back on Exiles TV. Stick around.
Live and play on the fairway at Greystone Golf and Country Club, a serene, challenging golf destination located in Denham Springs. For tee times and membership opportunities, go to GreystoneCountryClub.com.
Hi, I'm Hurricane Betsy Barnes.
And I'm Dr. Kay Siller with the Rocket Right Show.
We are two busy blondes on the go showing off life in Louisiana.
Watch us on Pelican Sports Network.
And Talk 107.3 FM. Check local listings for times.
This is State Treasurer John Schroeder urging you to check your mailbox. We just mailed out $4.5 million of unclaimed property checks to people across Louisiana. Unclaimed property is lost money turned over to the Department of Treasury so we can return it to you. The process is so easy, you can claim it right from your phone. Check for yourself, check for your family, and don't forget to check your businesses. This is your money. Claim it. Check your mailbox. And cash your check. It's that easy.
Hi, I am Dr. Farrell Frugier Jr., and I am a general dentist at Frugier Family Dentistry. I was born and raised in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. I went to Catholic High School, LSU, and LSU School of Dentistry in New Orleans, where I received my DDS degree in 1986. I always have and will continue to be committed to continuing my education, to invest in technology which makes the diagnosis and delivery of dentistry more thorough, more comfortable, and more aesthetically pleasing. In our practice, we are here to serve the patients. We want to improve their quality of life and to develop relationships with our patients. In dentistry, we have a chance to impact lives on a daily basis, not just by doing dentistry, but by getting to know them and being a part of their life. We also believe in giving back to our community. So every year, we give back to the Greater Baton Rouge Food Bank, Toys for Tots, and Mary Bird Perkins Cancer Center. Please stop by and visit our office. We would love to take care of you and your family.
The selection is deep, and the time to get a used car is right now from the Team Automotive Group. Shop and save on over 125 certified vehicles and choose from more than 700 pre-owned vehicles at any of our team locations. Or log on anytime at teamautouse.com.
Welcome back to Exiles TV. Glad to have you along with us as we continue with our program. By the way, a reminder, you can watch a replay 10 o'clock tonight on this very same channel, and you can also go to YouTube. Go to Pelican Broadcasting YouTube channel, and you can look at all the programs, ours, Clarence's, everybody's, all in the same place. Joining me now, Mike Steele, from the Governor's Office of Homeland Security and Emergency Preparedness, or we're going to refer to it as GOHSEP from this point forward. Mike, how are you?
Good, thank you.
Hurricane season is upon us.
Yes.
Of course, we had flood season.
Yes.
We had deluge of rain season before flood season.
Right. Yeah, we really haven't gotten much of a break. And if I could tell you too, good to hear some good news with Kevin, and our prayers are with him. We hope all that continues to stay on track. So,
thank you.
But yeah, normally, our office takes the winter, part of the winter and part of the spring to get a lot of training and different exercises, a lot of meetings with all our local officials, make sure everybody's kind of on the same page. But there wasn't much of a break between, the pandemic still kind of carrying over from last year, and then we had the winter weather event. We've had severe weather, it seems like every few days in the spring, and then of course, the big flood, unfortunately hitting Lake Charles again and here in Baton Rouge. It's just kind of been nonstop over the past few months.
Well, there is not much we can do about the weather except prepare. The National Hurricane Center and Colorado State University, I still have no idea why they study hurricanes at Colorado State.
I'm sure there was a grant involved somewhere.
Yeah, but that's a whole nother program. But they have said it is going to be a busier than average Gulf and Caribbean hurricane season, and that we are likely to have 5 named storms that reach our shores. Mm-hmm. So that means you guys have to go into overdrive pretty much immediately. What are you doing, and what does the public need to do?
So it looks like, with the conditions with the pandemic and COVID-19 and everything changing, it looks like we'll see more of a standard approach to what we're going to be doing. It's important for the public to realize that not every event reaches the state's level of support. We have dozens of smaller events every year that the parishes are able to handle, or that the locals are able to handle, even with evacuations and different things like that. Like you may see a high school gymnasium opened up for a day or two, that type thing at the local level. So not everything reaches the magnitude of needing state support. But if we go back and see an event like we had last year with Laura, Delta, some of those storms, you may see more of the traditional kind of shelter operations. One of the things we want to tell the public was, a lot of what we saw with the shelter operations involving hotels was really unique to 2020. We don't anticipate those type programs being used. Those type programs are coordinated with the parishes to have our support and FEMA support. So unless they're hearing about programs like that being turned on, we don't want the public to rush out to an hotel and think that the state or FEMA or somebody is going to automatically cover that charge. They need to be listening to what their local officials are saying about evacuations and making sure that they're ready to handle that.
Disasters are expensive. They're expensive for the people who were in them, and they're expensive for all the emergency responders and coordinators. How do you even budget for what may or may not happen in Louisiana?
A lot of what we're dealing with is handled through federal reimbursement policies. I haven't heard of any budget crunches because of the number of events lately. We've gotten some good news from FEMA when it comes to we've received a presidential declaration in regards to the flooding here and in Lake Charles. So those things help. They help from local municipalities being able to respond to those events. Plus you see some of the programs being turned on to help homeowners. Another thing that's important to remember is even when you see, the FEMA Homeowners Assistance Program being turned on, that usually benefits people who were either weren't insured or underinsured the most. Insurance is by far your number one line of defense for a homeowner or a business owner. So we can't get that word out enough, along with the Department of Insurance, trying to tell everybody to do those insurance checkups. And check those
I
documents.
renewed my flood insurance about an hour before I got here today.
Yeah, I'm not going without mine. Not after seeing what we've seen over the past couple of years. You know, we're not required to have it where I'm at, but
nor are
it's
we,
just it's just why take a chance? You know?
Yeah, it's cheap enough that you really shouldn't take a chance.
Right.
When we talk about the areas that have been hard hit, I would say Lake Charles, with the multiple hits they got, was in a Katrina-like posture.
Absolutely.
In 2020. And again, if the forecast center is right, they're going to have some impacts this year while the rebuilding is still underway. How, in that little piece of geography, how can they continue getting rebuilt when they know the next punch is coming and the next punch is coming?
Well, you don't know. You know, there's a chance we could catch a break this year. You know, so I guess our guys tend to me it looks like our guys, a lot of the guys are in planning. You know, you have to be ready regardless. You know, a lot of that's going to deal with messaging. We were fortunate in the fact that a lot of the people that are in you know, the temporary housing programs, either the RV trailers or the mobile homes, kind of like what we saw back here in 2016. A lot of the people in that Lake Charles area, like with this recent flood event, didn't flood, and that's due to some of the standards and some of the process that they have to go to get those units installed. They're very careful about where they want them installed so that people don't go right through another flood again. But there's going to be messaging with that. You know, when you have severe weather, you may have people living in these units that aren't used to, maybe they're used to a more traditional, you know, structure, home. And so we're going to have to make sure they're ready for that. I know the locals are concerned. I know the mayor's doing a big push with Congress trying to get some long-term recovery dollars, you know, dedicated to the Lake Charles area. I know the governor sent a couple letters both to the Trump administration and the Biden administration kind of in support of that. We are expected to have some VIPs with FEMA in town next week. We have the National Hurricane Conference in New Orleans going on, so we expect a lot more of those meetings to take place, and hopefully we'll see, you know, the hazard mitigation dollars start to flow in after these events to kind of help with some of the drainage issues and other bigger projects.
Garrett Graves was on this program Tuesday, and he said there has been something like $1.7 billion in mitigation in the last year and a half, and that there will be more. I guess the question, I guess what's real hard for y'all is to actually get it into the right hands and the right people that can move the dirt, pile up the sticks, do the framing, when the whole world is haywire. We have no supply chain now, basically for most building materials, and I would assume for relief materials as well. It's very difficult.
I don't know if it's impacting us or not. That is definitely another factor, you know, for areas like Lake Charles, because sheetrock's in big demand right now, and
lumber's up 900%.
Lumber is through the roof right now when you can get it. You know, those type things. So those are definitely issues. There are some things that are always kind of going on behind the scenes, and they don't necessarily get a lot of spotlight. But if you go to like the Louisiana Watershed Institute's website, you can see a lot of the things that are being developed. What was unique after 2016 is a lot of the parishes, instead of looking at these projects that maybe only benefited, you know, parish XYZ and didn't benefit parish Z, but that they were all part of the same river basin. The parishes all kind of started looking at those things and saying like, hey, how can we get the biggest bang for the buck? And that's what we're seeing the Louisiana Watershed Institute kind of pull those parishes and those municipalities together to kind of take a more global, I guess, approach to some of those projects. But a lot of those things are on track, and you're starting to see, you know, I saw Baton Rouge had a big announcement, you know, about taking some of their COVID relief money and using it on some of these drainage projects.
Yes.
You know, it's a non-stop thing when you have new development taking place. You know, I guess there's never a point where you're really caught up. But you will start seeing a lot of movement with these things, you know, going back over the past several years.
We have always been very, very wary of hurricanes. You know, when you move to Louisiana, they give you a card that says, okay, we're going to have hurricanes. Here's what a hurricane is like.
Right.
What we have not really totally grasped yet is how dangerous what they call aerial flooding is, which is rivers and streams.
That's right.
And particularly down in St. James Parish, where they see this program, in East Baton Rouge Parish, in Ascension Parish, in Livingston Parish, in Tangipahoa Parish, in Iberville Parish, we have never seen backwater flooding like we have in the past month and a half.
Yeah.
And the water doesn't seem to be going down. Now, you're an emergency preparedness agency, but I'm sure you're looking at this and you're going, where do we find solutions for this?
So it's important, our guys, again, kind of behind the scenes almost, but we're working with those local officials. Like the state doesn't come in and tell this parish, this is the project you need to work on. The parish knows their parish better than the state does. So our guys are kind of tasked, the guys that are working on those hazard mitigation projects are kind of tasked with working with those local officials to say like, hey, you've got these projects on your list, we can help you get this one going. Here's how we'll help you connect with FEMA to kind of start that process. And it's a very long process. Even after you get projects going or after they're completed, there's still other steps that have to be taken in that. So our guys work with them on all of those different steps to get that going. But the other thing is when it comes to the response thing, you hear a lot of talk about climate change and growth and infrastructure and those type things. From the response side, it doesn't matter what caused it. We have to react to it.
Matter what.
Right. So, we tend not to get involved in those debates as much because we just have to find a way to work through it regardless. But there is a lot going on at the local level that the public doesn't always see, and hopefully we'll see some of those things really start to pay off, especially those bigger projects, going back to the 2016 floods. It's unfortunate, but it just takes some time to get a lot of those things accomplished.
We're going to take a brief break. We'll be back in just a moment with Mike Steele from GOHSEP as we enter hurricane season, and flood season may not be over yet either. Stick around.
Balello's Furniture and Appliances, your dependable independent. Depend on us for service, for selection, for price. Get huge Whirlpool savings. Shop now and save on Whirlpool appliances throughout the store. Plus, experience our price match guarantee and ask about special financing. You can depend on the know-how of people who live appliances every day. Balello's Furniture and Appliances, your dependable independent with nationwide buying power.
Hello guys, it's Debbie. It's time. I've got a brand new location. 10510 Airline Highway, Baton Rouge, next to After 5 Tuxedos. We have the perfect spot to get all your wedding and formal wear needs. Come see our one-of-a-kind name brand and get great prices. With 30 years experience, the best customer service anywhere. It's Debbie's Bridal, Airline Highway, Baton Rouge. See you soon.
Hi, I'm Hurricane Betsy Barnes.
And I'm Dr. Kay Siller with The Rocket Right Show.
We are two busy blondes on the go showing off life in Louisiana.
Watch us on Pelican Sports Network.
And Talk 107.3 FM. Check local listings for times.
The first big sale of the year is here. The Dream Garage Spring Event is underway at Team Honda. For the first time ever, get $12.50 customer cash on every new 21 Passport, or get 0% for 60 months on every new 21 Pilot at Louisiana's #1 Honda dealer, Team Honda.
This is State Treasurer John Schroeder urging you to check your mailbox. We just mailed out $4.5 million of unclaimed property checks to people across Louisiana. Unclaimed property is lost money turned over to the Department of Treasury so we can return it to you. The process is so easy, you can claim it right from your phone. Check for yourself, check for your family, and don't forget to check your businesses. This is your money. Claim it. Check your mailbox. And cash your check. It's that easy.
Sometimes life is wonderful, and sometimes it's not. Cherish the good, but always be prepared for life's challenges. At Private Healthcare, we provide the peace of mind you deserve. With private healthcare, you'll get the coverage you want and healthcare you need. If your employer doesn't supply healthcare coverage and you don't qualify for Medicare or Medicaid, you need to give us a call right now. Private healthcare is private health insurance for ages 65 and under with medical, dental, vision, and even prescription coverage. When life comes at you unexpectedly, you need to be ready, and health insurance is your financial safety net. Health insurance has never been so easy and affordable. If you're looking for health coverage at the best price and your annual household income is $35,000 or more, call the number on the screen now and speak with a live healthcare consultant. Don't wait. Get the coverage you need now.
Welcome back to Exiles TV. Joining us today, Mike Steele from GOHSEP, the Governor's Office of Homeland Security and Emergency Preparedness. And Mike, one of the things that you all have done very, very well over the years is to tell people to kind of get a game plan, get their act together. What does that mean in 2021? What are the key things, point by point, that people really need to do now before something is 90 miles away?
Sure. So this is in any phase of preparation. So regardless of whether it's us doing a training exercise, you talking to a neighbor, you talking to your family, you know, those type things, it's always easier to get things done when you're not under pressure. So if you wait until an actual emergency is happening, everybody's more stressed. It's difficult to get in touch with people you may need to get in touch with. It's difficult to find some of the supplies that you may need to get through an event. Everything becomes more difficult the closer you are to that event. So our guys always call it blue sky days. Take advantage of the blue sky days so that when things really go bad, you know, you're able to handle that situation. It's been proven, you know, from an investment standpoint, not always, but the more steps you take to handle an emergency before the emergency, the easier it is to get through that event, and the more money you invest basically in preparing and doing the things you need to make, that usually pays for itself in the long run too. So you know, when it comes to things like insurance, you know, not everybody, you know, some people are on their budgets in a situation where maybe they can't afford flood insurance, or, you know, we know there's different people at different stages, but if you can afford insurance, that's the number one line of defense. Make sure you're properly insured. You know, take a look at all your policies to make sure that they're adequate for the needs that you have and the threats you may face, and understand that hurricanes get all the attention, and it's good for us because it makes people have these type conversations when hurricane season starts or when we face a threat. But flooding happens year round. You know, like you said, we're always in flood season in Louisiana. That is by far our number one threat. It doesn't have to be associated with a tropical event. It can happen any time of year. It can happen 365 days a year. So we just ask that people, you know, take a look at the factors around you. You know, if you have a rail line that runs close to your home or your business, that may be a threat that you face that maybe others don't face. You know, take a look at all those type things. Anything that could force you from your home, force you from your business, you know, cause you, you know, disruption of your daily life.
Let's talk about forcing you from your home. Do you all still recommend that everybody have a bug out bag?
Yeah.
And in this, you've got important documents, you've got money, you've got your prescriptions. And by the way, if you see a hurricane looking like it's coming into the Gulf, if your prescriptions are going to run out in 3 days, how about getting them refilled now?
That's right.
While you're 7 days ahead of it, something like that?
Yeah, and the pharmacies have a lot of programs, especially, you know, some of the bigger chains and some of the locals have good programs where they help people connect on those type things. But again, that goes back to those steps you can take to make it easier on you, you know, in the long run. Another thing is the banks do a terrific job of, you know, working with the Federal Reserve and with the feds of making sure that banks have enough cash, you know, several days before a hurricane, because they know it's going to be a run.
If they don't have electricity, that ATM is not going to work.
Yeah, that's true. And this is a big deal, and I never thought it would be turned into kind of what it turned into last year. But in regards to like Laura, as devastating as Laura was and as powerful as that storm was, we lost very few people from the events associated with the storm, from flooding, from those type things. Most of the people we lost were from cleanup, from generator usage, from not operating chainsaws properly, those type things, or being on a roof and not necessarily being careful. So there's a whole list of things after the storm passes or after you go through a weather event that you need to be careful of. Some people were keeping generators close to their homes because they didn't want them to be stolen, but they, unfortunately put them too close to a window or under a carport or a garage where the house couldn't, there wasn't enough ventilation in the home. So, those are things people need to consider, and if you're using those type things after an event, that can be just as deadly.
Is there, I know it's never comprehensive, but a somewhat comprehensive list, parish by parish, for shelters that are most likely going to be operating, so that you don't have to sit there and if at the last minute you find it's untenable, you have to leave. You can have an idea of choice one or choice two, and you can also tell your kids who are away at college and things like this, this is where we are going.
We don't really have that here, and there's a number of reasons, but the easiest way to explain it is things flood differently here. We're not in a state with like some of the mid-Atlantic states have a coastal region, and anywhere past that coastal region is great to operate a shelter at. We have basically half the state to be concerned about under certain circumstances. And so it's hard for us to say like, hey, if you go to this university's arena, it will 100% be a shelter with anything we face this year. We can't guarantee that because you don't know. Until you get to northern parts of the state. Now, the parishes themselves have agreements, like Lafourche Parish has agreements in the Monroe area with some of the cities and some of the arenas up there. They know that if they can pull the trigger and call for an evacuation that would basically take all of their people that need assistance up to that area. So that's why people need to be in touch with their local officials if they need that level of assistance and they need kind of that guarantee of how they will get there with buses or transportation and those type things. Those agreements the parishes have also include bringing like security, like police up to help with security at those arenas and everything. So there's a lot of things in place, but it's important for them to be in touch with their local officials to find out what programs are out there.
Is there any thought of transportation, emergency transportation being made available? And I know this is a lot to ask, but where you had a lot of high death count in Katrina, for example, a little bit in Gustav, is because people did not have a way to get out.
Right.
And you can't buy and maintain a fleet of buses to use 4 times a year. I get that. But do the parishes themselves, do they have agreements with churches and school boards to start bringing buses in that can get people out ahead of the disaster?
Yeah, and we have, those transportation assets are in place. Everybody that was being brought from Lake Charles to New Orleans, most of those people were being transported on buses, and the buses were used to bring them back home again when it was safe to allow them to go home. So those things are in place, but that's why it takes days of preparation when you see a storm, tracking our way, because you can't just get all those bus assets and different things in place. It takes several days, and because of how soon you have to execute those type things, it's not always the scenario we face by the time the storm actually hits. So there's things our guys in planning have to take into consideration that if you have the storm veer off 50 miles to the east or something, it may look like wasted assets, but they have to base it all on that timeline and that track at the moment.
Well, I do remember in Hurricane Andrew, when people from the New Orleans area were like, we need to get out of here, and they evacuated to Baton Rouge. And Baton Rouge got pretty much a direct hit from Andrew. So you just never know where you're going to move until it's actually time to move.
And you know, going back to Katrina and Andrew and all those storms too, there's so many more factors that have all been put in the planning process that you can't really compare those, I guess, to what we have in place now.
It's a whole different world now.
Right. And so, you know, as bad as those situations were, hopefully we won't see those things again because, you know, we work with the parishes. Part of what we exercise with in the spring, like when we have Orleans Parish, they tell us we expect this many thousands of people to need transportation assistance out. And so you may see planes, trains, and automobiles used, you know, when it comes to getting that crowd out. So we work with them on those type things to make sure. Some parishes do have agreements with the school board in their parish for the use of school buses, but they may also have agreements with neighboring parishes for use of those school buses. So there's a lot of parish to parish communication going on. And that's all the things that we kind of coordinate through these exercises that we run with the parish.
Talk about herding cats.
That's right.
That's a lot of coordination.
But we need to know and that's why it's so different for us. We need to know what the threat is and who's facing that impact. And then once we kind of get that clearly defined, then all the buttons can be pushed.
And in truth, you need to know what do you need and tell me what you're basing that on.
Right.
Because somebody might be in pure panic mode at an office in a parish and say, send me 400 buses, and you find out they've only got 35 people that need to go.
Yeah.
But they're kind of in panic mode.
And when your biggest population base is kind of in the southeast corner of the state, and you get hit maybe in the central coastline or the western corner of the state, the plans are widely different. You know,
nothing on the shelf for that.
Right. It's night and day difference. That's why we need to know where that threat is, and that's why the forecasting and everything has become so important over the years.
Our time is about up, but I know you've got a website where people can go get more information. Tell everybody what that is.
So we've added a lot over the years. We've got getagameplan.org. We've got the Get a Game Plan app. We've got the Alert FM app, which is a great app for extra notifications, and if you want to receive that. We also have a Get a Game Plan podcast now that we do. We have a number of things that we do on social media, on Twitter and Facebook, to try and keep people updated. So and then that's in addition to all the resources that like NOLA Ready and Red Stick Ready and all these different locals are doing. There's a lot of information.
Go to the web, start with getagameplan.org,
right,
and move from there. Mike Steele with GOHSEP, thanks so much for joining us.
You bet. Thanks.
We'll be back in a moment to wrap it up.
All right.
Caught spiders? Premier Pest Services.
Hi, I am Dr. Farrell Frugier Jr., and I am a general dentist at Frugier Family Dentistry. I was born and raised in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. I went to Catholic High School, LSU, and LSU School of Dentistry in New Orleans, where I received my DDS degree in 1986. I always have and will continue to be committed to continuing my education, to invest in technology which makes the diagnosis and delivery of dentistry more thorough, more comfortable, and more aesthetically pleasing. In our practice, we are here to serve the patients. We want to improve their quality of life and to develop relationships with our patients. In dentistry, we have a chance to impact lives on a daily basis, not just by doing dentistry, but by getting to know them and being a part of their life. We also believe in giving back to our community. So every year, we give back to the Greater Baton Rouge Food Bank, Toys for Tots, and Mary Bird Perkins Cancer Center. Please stop by and visit our office. We would love to take care of you and your family.
Live and play on the fairway at Greystone Golf and Country Club, a serene, challenging golf destination located in Denham Springs. For tee times and membership opportunities, go to GreystoneCountryClub.com.
Hi, business owners. Phase 3. Woohoo! But do your customers know you're back? Well, that's where the Clarence Bugg Show and Pelican Broadcasting can help. Right now, we've got great rates on advertising packages to help you get the word out. Shoot me an email at bugsclarence@gmail.com gmail.com. Or better yet, call me up. I'd love to talk with you. 225-485-6839. Let's get together and make Phase 3 the best it can possibly be.
Got termites? Get Premier Pest. PremierPestServices.com.
Breaking news right now, before we wrap it all up, we have another shooting in a supermarket. This is in Florida. Early reports say that a gunman entered a Publix, that's a brand name in Florida, a Publix supermarket, and started shooting, and we have three dead, including a child. One of the dead is thought to be the shooter. So I'm sure there will be more news coming about that throughout the day. In addressing crime in our cities, we have been calling for more participation, more involvement. I know they're calling for it in Lafayette and New Orleans as well. We have been telling business leaders in our community, in person and on the air, that business, the people who generate the jobs, who generate the money, who fund all of this stuff, needs to get involved. One of the things that is happening now in Baton Rouge is something called the Baton Rouge Street Team. They are undergoing training designed to help them become more effective in responding to violence in the 70802 and 70805 zip codes. This is a pilot program which can grow if it is effective, and it's made up of what the mayor's office calls trusted community members that have the necessary relationships needed to de-escalate conflicts in these areas. Training and technical assistance are being conducted by nationally renowned interventionist Akila Sherrills, Executive Director of the Community-Based Public Safety Collective and President of the Newark, New Jersey Street Team. The team consists of 5 high-risk interventionists, 4 community navigators, and 1 program coordinator. And I, for one, wish them well. I also wonder if we aren't too far down the road with our street-level crime in this city to have people who will try to de-escalate conflicts. We seem to have a big conflict management problem. In the last 4 or 5 weeks, well, actually in the last year and a half, most of our conflict resolution has been at the point of a gun. I don't want to be a naysayer on this, because I do wish them well. And if they can solve our crime problem by de-escalating conflict and steering people in crisis where they can go for help, and sociologically, if they can take the fingers off the triggers in our community, then that's okay with me. I don't know that we aren't too far down the road for that. I think that maybe the next generation of street criminals you can maybe intervene with and maybe teach them better ways to conduct themselves, particularly when they're angry or upset. But I want you to think about this. Most of the shootings we have over a conflict, it's not heat of the moment stuff. There was nobody that was going to walk up to those two brothers in the parking lot of Fairway View Apartments and say, let's talk. Let me show you a better way to handle your anger, your crisis. They told people beforehand, people who are now under arrest because they didn't do anything about it, exactly what they were going to do. No conflict interventionist or community navigator is going to deter them. And their actions are not an outlier. It's the same thing that happened at the Circle K on College Drive. It's the same thing that happened in the Bel Air area, on the street in broad daylight. It's the same thing that happened off Greenville Springs Road. This is not a sociological problem that we've got. I know you'd like to think it is. I know you'd like to think we can push the right emotional buttons and it's all going to get better. And God, I hope it does, but I don't think so. I don't believe it for a minute. Maybe for the next generations. Right now, we need to utilize our financial resources to get more people in cuffs and more illegal guns off the street. But we shall see. I'm going to try to keep an open mind about this one. That does it for us. Remember, Crime Stoppers will be with us on Tuesday of the coming week. In the meantime, more rain is a-coming, they say, so stay dry, stay safe. Look forward to seeing you on our next broadcast. God bless. Bye-bye.